Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unpack the hidden stories in corporate filings. Today, we've got an interesting update from Hyperscale Data Incorporated, and let's just say they're adding a new player to their team for a big money making plan. You know, sometimes companies tweak their announcements, and today's update is exactly that. It is an update to a previous report, and usually that means they're clarifying something or adding a detail. For Hyperscale Data, it seems they're bringing in some extra help to sell their stock. Let's dive into what this really means for them and you. So this report we're looking at is actually an amendment. Think of it like a corrected version of a document they filed back on the 19th of December of last year, 2025. Why the correction? Well, the company Hyperscale Data Incorporated is telling us the main reason is super simple. They've added another sales agent to help sell their shares. That is it. Everything else in this update is basically saying, hey, remember that old report? This part is just about the new sales agent for everything else. Go back to the original, the 19th of December report. The new information, the addition of this sales agent, happened on the 16th of January of this year, 2026. Now, what exactly are they selling? They're talking about their class of common stock. This is the kind of stock that gives you ownership in the company. It has a very small par value, which is basically a nominal amount set in the company's charter, and it is designed to be easily traded. And there is also this other type of stock, the 13.00% Series D Cumulative Redeemable Perpetual Preferred Stock. That is a mouthful, right? Let's break it down. Preferred stock usually means it has certain advantages over common stock, like getting paid dividends before common stockholders do. This one pays a decent 13% dividend. Cumulative means if they miss a dividend payment, it adds up and has to be paid later. Redeemable means the company can buy it back, and perpetual means it doesn't have a fixed end date, so it can exist indefinitely. This is where we get into the main event. The company is entering into a new sales agreement, or rather an amended and restated one. So on the 19th of December of last year, Hyperscale Data made a deal with Spartan Capital Securities. Spartan is acting as their sales agent. The goal is to sell up to $50 million worth of their common stock. They're doing this through something called an at-the-market offering, or ATM offering for short. This is a common way for companies to sell shares directly into the stock market over time, rather than all at once. It is like having a tap that can dispense shares as needed. Now fast forward to the 16th of January of this year, they've updated that original agreement. It is now an amended and restated agreement, which means they've changed it significantly. The big news here is the addition of Wilson, Davis & Company, Inc. They are now also a sales agent. So instead of just Spartan, they now have two agents, or agents as they call them, helping to sell these shares. This new agreement means both agents will work together on this offering. However, the original agent, Spartan, seems to have some special rights that are separate from what Wilson, Davis & Company gets. This is a nuanced detail, but it suggests Spartan might still be the lead or has specific responsibilities. To make this official, on the same day, the 16th of January, they filed an amendment to their prospectus supplement with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Or CC, this just means they're updating the official document that tells investors about this stock offering. The whole process for selling these shares is built upon something called a shelf registration statement. This is a filing that allows a company to pre-register a certain amount of stock they plan to sell over time. So they had already filed this back in November, and it was approved in early December. This new agreement just adds more juice to that existing registration. So what are these agents actually doing? They are tasked with using their commercially reasonable efforts to sell the shares. This is standard language, meaning they'll try their best, but it is not a guarantee of a specific outcome. They'll be following the company's instructions and making sure everything is done by the book, following all the relevant laws and stock exchange rules. Crucially, Hyperscale Data itself is controlling the sales. They decide how many shares to sell, when to sell them, how many can be sold each day, and if there is a minimum price they want to get for each share. This gives the company a lot of control over how and when their stock is put onto the market. They can use any legal method that fits the definition of an at-the-market offering. This keeps things flexible for the agents to maximize sales. And get this, either the company or Spartan themselves can hit the pause button on selling shares by giving written notice. This means they can stop the offering if market conditions change or if they decide to. Even more significantly, both the company and Spartan have the right to completely end this agreement at any time. They just need to give prior written notice. This shows that the deal isn't set in stone forever. This whole agreement, the amended and restated the market sales agreement, is filed as an exhibit, which is basically a supporting document attached to the main filing. This section is about exhibits, basically listing all the documents that make up this filing. And there is a note about how the cover page is formatted using something called inline XBRL. This is just a technical detail for how financial data is presented digitally, making it easier for computers to read and process. Now, let's talk about what this all means. Hyperscale Data is looking to raise up to $50 million by selling its stock in the open market, adding a second sales agent, Wilson. Davis & Company Inc., alongside Spartan Capital Securities, suggests they want to boost their efforts in bringing in this capital. It could mean they anticipate a need for more aggressive selling or want to tap into a wider network of potential buyers. When a company decides to sell more shares through an ATM offering, it is often a sign that they need cash for operations, growth initiatives, or perhaps to pay down debt. The fact that they're amending the agreement to add another agent might indicate they're getting ready for increased activity or want to spread the selling effort across more resources. From an investor's perspective, an ATM offering can be a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it means the company has a flexible way to raise money without needing a full-blown secondary offering, which can sometimes be disruptive. On the other hand, the continuous selling of shares can dilute the value of existing shares. If the company keeps issuing more and more stock, each share represents a smaller piece of the company, potentially lowering its value. The key will be how Hyperscale Data uses this $50 million. If it is invested wisely into projects that generate strong returns, then the dilution might be worth it in the long run. But if the money is used for less productive purposes or just to keep the lights on, then existing shareholders could see the value of their investment decrease. The fact that the company controls the parameters of the sale show much, when and at what prices, a positive sign for management's control over the process. However, the ability for either party to terminate the agreement gives both sides flexibility, which is important in dynamic market conditions. Looking at the big picture, Hyperscale Data is in a mode of actively seeking capital, adding more agents to their sales force for their stock offering signals, and intent to be aggressive in their fundraising efforts over the coming period. It's always wise to keep an eye on how companies deploy the capital they raise. Are they expanding their operations? Are they investing in new technologies? Or are they simply covering shortfalls? The strategy behind the use of these funds will ultimately determine the success of this ATM offering for the company and its shareholders. Alright, that is our breakdown of Hyperscale Data's latest filing. What is your take on this move to add another sales agent and the implications for their stock? Let us know in the comments below if you found this deep dive valuable. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community, linked in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.